Hi everyone, how's it going? I'm gonna show you a lesson that I learned more than 2 decades ago that totally changed my playing forever. It has put me on the road to become more musical with my playing. When I just first started out, the main thing I enjoyed playing on the guitar was power chords. They were everywhere, and when I also got into Dream Theater, I started to see how you can start adding notes to those, like nines. I didn't know what the names were back then, but I really enjoyed the sound of them. The thing that shifted everything for me was when I started working with a pianist at my band, because whatever I played for him, he started moving that idea, right? So let's say I played an idea for him that goes like, so he just moved it diatonically to, and I asked him how did he know which notes to choose, because on the guitar I was just beginning. I couldn't see the whole diatonic systems of C major, and I couldn't know how to move everything. I didn't practice scales, triads, all that thing back then. And he said, well, it's easy. You see, these are the keyboard, and whatever idea I have, and I just played him something like do-di-do-di-do-di. So he just moved it, right? Because it's very visual on the keyboard just to move stuff around. But for some reason, we are not taught that when we are just first starting out playing guitar, right? But he gave me the idea that from now on, whatever I learn an idea, I can move it. Like, you know, I didn't know it's called diatonically, but I can move it through different degrees of that scale. And then, of course, I heard Paul Gilbert, you know, Paul was talking about how he moves these kind of stuff, and then I started to get it, right? Let's say you're gonna pick up your guitar today, right? And you are gonna play an idea. I'm just gonna play the first thing that comes to mind. I'm gonna play this. Okay, so what is happening here is I have this kind of shape, which I'm gonna think about just in C major for this example. And I kind of played, well, this is a second inversion triad. Now I know that. Back then I didn't know what I was doing. This is an enclosure into F, right? Which in relevance to that chord is the 4th degree. Then I have two notes over here. Okay, so how can I go about moving that diatonically, okay? So next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna move to my next degree, D minor, and I'm gonna create the same exact DNA around that. So I played the triad, I kind of circled the suspended 4th. So over here that would be, right? So if we just take that and we start moving diatonically, we get this. Now I can't do this here because I'm gonna land on the B flat. So over here I need to kind of, you know, be extra aware and create something like this, because I want to go into B in relation to the other notes, you know? Then over here in G, A minor, B diminished. So you see, that's how you can start taking an idea through a diatonic ride, right? Let's take something even simpler. Let's say I'm gonna play just this idea, right? Well, now if I want to move it, then I have it over here, and then through diatonic awareness, I know that my next note is gonna be F, right? So why has this affected me so much? The reason is because later on, when I was getting into, you know, sophisticated kind of modes like the altered, the diminished, I could start moving patterns within those scales because I had that kind of ideal of whatever I learn, I can start moving diatonically. Another thing that really changed everything for me is understanding later on through learning the triads that whatever I learn, I can invert. For example, if I learn an idea in C major, you know what, I feel like D minor. If I learn this kind of like idea around D minor, well, that's kind of representing this second inversion, right? But if I want to do the same thing over a first inversion, that can be, right? That same kind of idea, same vibe can be manifested into another state of that same triad. What about this first inversion? You see, because it's all just movement around chord tones. Now that completely shifted everything I play and the way I perceive music. And it also really helped me as a composer and also as someone who's trying to get ideas across when he's improvising, right? Because think about it, like when you're playing over changes, let's say a perfect, a classic example would be All the Things You Are. If I'm taking like the progression of All the Things You Are, and I want to develop like one idea over it, let's take something really, really obvious and simple, something like, so that's like one idea over two chords. So obviously the next response is gonna be so how did I know like what is going on? I had the idea in my head, but I could also see diatonically what are the next options I'm gonna go to develop that kind of like stream of thought, right? Third goes to the third, to root. Third goes to the third, to root. Third goes to the third, to root. And then I ended with 4, 5, 4, 3. So this kind of diatonic awareness is what I'm trying to kind of get across on my channel, you know? And also in my Galactic Modern Guitar course, because that's a perfect example of how you can go week by week and start moving from one module to the next module and start building that diatonic awareness so you can improvise over changes, so you can see all the arpeggios connect on the entire fretboard, and so you can take your playing to a place where it's so much more musical than if you only know a few shapes and you don't know how to develop them. It doesn't matter if you're playing jazz or if you're playing neo-soul or pop. Almost any style right now is using the factors and the fundamentals of developing ideas through changes, voice leading, which is a huge one that I'm gonna do a few videos about, and I go really deep into that as well in my Galactic Modern Guitar series. And that, I think that was the thing that changed everything for me, and I wanted to share this with you. Now, if you want to kind of learn more ideas about how to develop an idea through two chords, only two chords, so we're not even talking about like a bunch of chord changes, that's a great place to start when you're trying to learn how to deal with developing ideas, how to keep an idea going. And you can check that out over here, right here, and this is going to help you develop some cool ideas over chord changes, specifically over two chords. So click